Good morning to everyone. This talk I have segregated in a three segment. One is a medical terminology. Second, according to Ayurveda, the pregnancy. And third, about this evolving soul, soul psychology, or spiritual soul. Looking this process not only through a physically and the medically, but emotionally and spiritually that I'm covering into the third segment. Okay, like in our Veda Puranas, we have a couple of examples like Abhimanyu, Ashtavakra, which gives the example of how the child is conscious in womb as well. Okay, so those things we will touch and in the third part. So as I'm also yoga therapist, prenatal and postnatal, practicing yoga, Ayurveda, and helping people across the globe in my retreat center. Okay. So what I gather, I'm going to share open heartedly with people. Hope they get benefited. So coming to the physical and medical process of a pregnancy, which all the information is available online, but still I will cover it in a short. Okay. So here, like both party need to be healthy, and some of the health problem can interfere in the conceiving process. Could be the weight, both male and female, diet, if they have any sexually transmitted diseases, mentally stress, alcohol, drugs, any toxins exposure, and of course the age plays very important role if they have gone through any cancer treatment, chemotherapy, then these are the little uh, lengthy process. One need to be very careful, okay, or a little obstacles happens because of this process. So does cyst, ovarian cyst, PCOD, fibroid, diabetes. no? These are the female related. Any blockage in a fallopian tube, and I have put all this information in one documents which we can share after the talk with our audience, so which will help them. Okay, then this is our physical, like we need to prepare both of our body. Then how the Ayurveda look into it. Okay, so Ayurveda, the separate faculty of Ayurveda is called Vajikarna, which talks about the take care of the pregnancy. So here, like it is taken care by the Ayurveda herbs, various ashwagandha and many, but I won't be sharing that because nowadays people are trying to become their own doctors. And before one start Ayurveda treatment, there are the certain rules need to be followed, which helps. The first of all, one need to know the body type, dosha types, okay, and then the Panchakarma, okay. Then this medicines, Ayurveda medicines, will be helpful. Then Ayurvedic herbs, holistic life like a diet and food, healthy lifestyle like a yoga and pranayama. This is how the Ayurveda looks into the pregnancy process. Okay. Then going again back to the medical, little deeper. If you are born with the uterus, you will be having around 2 million eggs in your uterus. But still you reach the age 30, the eggs falls off. Okay, so puberty you will be having around 300,000 to 500,000. You reach 20, then again the count decreases. So every month approximately 1,000 eggs we lose. So that's the reason it is considered from puberty till age 20-25 is a ideal age to conceive. Okay, so this is about the medical terminology through the Ayurveda. Yeah, I have also seen the people like a females giving age till age 40, 45. Okay, because of a new advances in the medical science, you know, resources available. It is possible. Okay, but if it is till the age 25, it becomes very natural and easy process. That I would say. Okay, so it is not difficult giving age because nowadays women are also studying, working, career conscious. So this whole process get little delayed. Okay? So that help is already available with medical science, your doctors. Okay, and a lot of information is accessible.
See, my daughter is 42, but
Mm-hmm.
she got married very late and then they had problems settling down, and now she wants to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So is it okay? Because physically she's all right, but I don't know the other, spiritual consequences and whatever you are going to tell us.
Yeah, so I will share emotional and spiritual information on this. And of course it is possible, and now all the informations and help is available. So though it is a late, the journey becomes little comfortable because its alertness is there. So definitely it is possible to have a healthy child. So the whole talk about is not only the physically, but how the emotionally and the spiritually, also the healthy child we can get it on this earth. Because uh, having the child is not a mere physical process. As you know, it is a one soul we are inviting on the earth, right? So for example, we get attracted by the like-minded people. We choose where you want to be, what kind of a circle, atmosphere you want to experience. And that whole freedom is with the soul. So till the soul comes in the womb and take a birth as your child, it is an independent soul. It is not your child. It is a body which is a child after. But till that, it is an independent soul having all the freedom. Okay. So I will move further. If you as I have also noticed, and many of also would have been noticed, like sometime the child will born with some physical deformation. So that happens because of a negligence in the medical and the health related issue. Okay, so I will take little aside from the pregnancy. I will talk about the soul. Okay, so this is called the soul psychology. As we everyone is aware of that we are spiritual being having the human experience. Okay, so we have as we observe sometime that child will be small, but the child will act like he is old person. Then we will say, oh, look at the child, he or she is talking like a grandma or grandpa. Then the child carry the characteristic of course the our genes has the genetic print on it, and then we will have a characteristic of a mother, father, grandmother, you know. So we will say the child is looking like a grandma, grandpa, or like any influential person in family who will have an influence on the mother during the pregnancy. That child will carry that kind of a characteristic. Some, absolutely. Of course, a child will have a characteristic of a mother and father. So among that, who is dominating, whether with the nature or the emotions. Okay. Then second thing, like how the soul choose to select particular parents. So in this search, I found sometime like your past relatives. Sometime like we say, I said, like we say, he's looking like his grandma or grandpa. You know, the person who deceased person from the same family sometime come back. So in this case, the womb is reserved. Okay, so when the lady is pregnant, there will be the lot of souls will be roaming around her to enter in womb. In our ancient literature, roughly the time they are saying month, third month. So till third month, we don't let pregnant women to go out or the negative the places which are not happy and healthy, having the negative energy. Okay, so till the third month is a crucial time for the pregnancy, physically also and for the spiritual reason as well. Okay, then second case, like as I said, like a soul having the free will. The soul will decide what kind of a lesson soul want to learn after going on earth, and which kind of a parent will help that purpose of a soul. So till here, the soul has no relationship with parents. The soul sees the atmosphere. Now, what kind of atmosphere? For example, if we take the spiritual soul or the soul which is inclined to the religious practices. So that soul will prefer the area or parent which will help for his spiritual and the religious growth, right? So according to that, the soul will select the parent and the area. We have as I say, from the ancient age, Ashtavakra, Abhimanyu, that once the soul is enter in the room, okay, the now soul has taken the decision that this kind of a parents will help me for my soul purpose in this human journey. So soul enters in the womb. But that soul is a conscious soul. Maybe the physically it's your embryo or the unborn child, and that child absorbs everything. First and most, the emotions of a mother. That's the reason we say, like a pregnant lady should be always happy, apart from the healthy as well. So that child is always getting absorbed from the emotions and the thought process of a mother. Okay. As I'm also a graphotherapist, as earlier talk I share, from when the some cases come to me, I ask for the children's handwriting. Okay, so the parent comes to me like a certain disturbed behavior in the children, and then from their handwriting, I can see the where is the print, which part of a brain is the print, and when that print got embossed. So, what kind of a nature this child's parent has? What kind of a pregnancy the mother and child went through? So, that much sensitive engraving on the child's brain, psychologically, physically, emotionally, it happens. Okay. So, not mere preparing our body physically, doing the Panchakarma or healthy, holistic living or eating, but having emotional bond with your partner is very, very important. If your child is emotionally healthy and stable, the child will express same thing, because your child is not only your child. You tomorrow that child is going to be part of a society. So healthy human being, physically, emotionally, spiritually, will contribute same to the society. if you ignore all this thing, and if the child is born with limitation, it will disturb your life rather than enjoying parenting or being a proud parent. You will be deprived from that pride and the happiness. So, the pregnancy, physically, emotionally, spiritually conscious, is very important. Okay. Then sometime we come across like some of my student asked me, then why the miscarriage happened like abruptly. So sometime, as I said, like a physical um, health is also important, whether that body is capable enough to carry the pregnancy, and if body sees like a malfunctioning nutrition deficiency, then body itself the terminate pregnancy. That is one. Second thing, sometime like it comes surprise to parent, but that time soul decides, oh, I came over here, but I don't see these parents are going to help in my the journey soul evolution. Okay, so then soul itself decides to leave. Okay, but during this time, that couple goes to also a lesson, the pain of losing a child, etc. So here also they have a soul karma and learning process. So this is a learning process spiritual for the parent as well and the coming soul child as well. Okay. Now I also found that the soul can take a birth on the various planet, you know, any country, but they prefer to take a birth in the familiar atmosphere. Okay. So in the soul psychology, we have a terms like a newborn soul, infant soul, baby soul, mature soul, you know, and the ancient soul. So sometimes you will see, like I also found, like a parent experience, expressing, they are not at all religious and spiritual, but they have a child who is completely like a showing the characteristic, a very mature person and following spiritual and religious path. Okay, even sometimes we come across like a parents and entire family is religious, spiritual, but child will have a completely different characteristic. No? So this is how the not merely your physical fitness, but your emotional fitness also matters, and the spiritual awareness also matters on this path. So I would like to, audience to ask me the question, so it will help me to express.
Two questions I have. One, you said the soul selects the parents. In my own experience, I know people, which also includes myself, where a child with certain spiritual inclinations, tendencies was born to parents who were religious but not encouraging of his path. One. Number Okay, so let me ask this first question first. I had a grandfather who's spiritually very evolved, but later on in life, following any spiritual path was always a conflict at home.
Yeah. So here I will also answer a couple of other incident. Like sometime we come across that person is totally involved in the material life, bhoga. Suddenly some incident happens in that person's life which shift the track of that person and put it on the spiritual path. Okay, now here the two way, like a spiritual and the religious. Okay, but end of the day religious path is also the stepping stone for the spiritual path. Now the religious path is more used in India. Okay, but all over the world also has the people spiritually inclined. Okay, so here what happened as like a soul's spiritual journey doesn't start only in one birth. This spiritual journey starts from the multiple birth, couple of birth. like every ream, soul takes couple of births. So it is not only this life. Okay. And then coming to your question, that obstacles for the following the spiritual path. Okay. So now here, as I said, like a soul has 50-50, the particular ream, soul born has a freedom 50-50. Like a 50 is the will, characteristic, destiny they are born with, and 50% their destiny will get affected by the atmosphere where they are born. But the soul maturity will find the way. If the soul is not matured, so it can get influenced by the atmosphere. So there the terms comes nature and the nurture.
I agree. Religious, this thing in the family from the grandparents and ancestors could be did provide the basis, but parents. So that was my first question. One.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'll take the other
I also
part.
have a second question. I can ask it.
I will just answer complete this. Now you say like the parents were not supportive, right? So parents were not spiritual.
No. They were very, very, very religious, spiritual in their own way. They did provide the environment and all. Even grandparents, highly grandparents, not parents, not so much, very materialistic, but they did provide, all kind of this thing. But ultimately, when the child grows up and starts following a particular, they were very encouraging of their own path. But
yeah, that's what I was supposed to say. The definition of the spiritual thing will be the different for them, and the child born is a different for them. So they force, no, you have to go with the religious way only. This particular system they follow, you have to go with that way only, where the child is more like a spiritual, not religious. Then that kind of a conflicts happen. For example, like we perform certain rituals in our religious worship, but every religion that ritual has a spiritual significance. So child will be more inclined towards the spiritual side, not that ritual thing, where the parent want the child to follow the rituals. Am I right? Is that happen in your case? Right? So here they are not disturbing you, but they were as like a normal parenting scenario. They were expecting you to follow the path which they have followed. But as I said, like I got a lot of help from the Buddhism, which helped me to and experience the spiritual process much simpler way rather than being a Brahmin and following the ritual path. So there also then conflicts happen, that your parent want to follow a particular path, and then you are into the other side. Is that right? The situation I explained. So it is like their consciousness. So they were not wrong. That is only way they know, and they think this is a way proper for my child, because everyone has a certain level of a soul evolve. You know. So that happened in your case. Now, yeah, please go ahead.
Why would a soul choose such an environment where there would always be conflict for following their path?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, now, so when it's comes, the soul is not completely like can reveal. The soul will not get complete idea that 100%. From A to Z, the journey of my with this parents will be this. Okay, so there will be the little mismatch will happen. Now here, like how many people are in the family? Okay, so soul will see like who are going to contribute me what. According to that, soul will choose. So from that one or two people may not contribute to the soul's evolution. Got it? Because it is like a circle in the circle. The soul want like a good, the three people are contributing, the soul chooses that. Okay, is in the case of a conscious soul. Okay. And this conscious soul are like a spiritually already touched. So they are at a particular realm. Okay. But if there are the 5, 6 family members in the family, may not be all will be supporting him. So if you notice, the more we have been stopped going on that path, we choose that path more. So what is seen on the the on the front of us, like this particular person is stopping me going on this path, but you tend to get determined to walk on that path more. So this is a scenario right now front of us, for example. But back of it, there is a story that path force you or made more determined. That person's action made you more determined to follow this path. So that could be the undefined rule before taking the birth, which you don't remember. If you notice in your life people who has hurted you, in fact, from that lesson, you have learned a lot. So maybe during that hurt process, you think the person is bad, person is hurting me. But when you come out of that, oh, I learned this lesson. So that person was playing his or her role for that duration to push you on that path.
Second was, I have also noticed, I have also observed couples or families where the couple starts falling apart the moment the child comes into the womb or the moment the child is born. The parents split. Why would a child soul choose such parents?
Wow, I really like this question, and I'm glad you asked this question. Okay. So in this case, astrology helped me. So when I see this kind of a case, then I see the astrology, and there we see that child doesn't has a father shadow, or then doesn't has the mother shadow in the child's life. That I found from the astrology. Okay. So again, this soul is born with that destiny, because you can forget your destiny, but your destiny never forgets you. One is that. Second thing, when you don't have a parent, you evolve as a different person because you're deprived from that love and the stability. So either you become that person to give to the society if you are emotionally and spiritually inclined soul, or you lose the track. So here again, I will refer to the line I said. The particular realm soul are born with 50-50. 50 freedom, 50 destiny. Okay. So uh, your question, like your answer, one, the child is born with this kind of a destiny. The spiritual learning from this destiny, either the soul become emotionally more evolved, or soul falls from the soul path, degradation happen. Okay. And as the time and period you are born, that also affect your destiny. So majority cases I found these children are born with that destiny, whether they don't have a mother shelter or father shelter. Okay. But further to it, the mother and father, but sometimes their uncle, auntie can play that role. So in graphology or graphotherapy, we say fatherly figure, motherly figure. So in that case, sometime like a lady get married with the other man, and the other man plays the fatherly figure in that child's life. Sometime father get married to other woman, and that mother plays the motherly figure in that child's life. And I have also seen the case where child is born with a lot of spiritual qualities, and the child needed a particular mother to bring that out. So when the child is born, the parent fell apart, but eventually nature brought that child in the lady's hand, where again his further religious and spiritual journey started. So here, that child's destiny was much more stronger than mother's being a mother destiny. So this is how it influence, child influence parent and parent influence child. Hope I answer your question. So the clarity will come more like that when you ask me the question. I'll glad to share it.
Namaste ji. My question is, giving birth to a child is a very natural process.
Mm-hmm.
In good old days, like my mother, she gave birth to 11 children.
Mm-hmm.
And she is 94.
Mm-hmm.
But these days,
Mm-hmm.
women are not able to give birth to a child naturally. One child or two children, they undergo cesarean. This phenomenon I am unable to understand. What is the reason?
Okay, now, okay.
Civilization? Or is making money by the hospitals?
Both are there. Both are there. I really like a very interesting question you asked. Okay, now being like a mother of two children, and the today's generation. Okay, so does my mom had 6 children, and I have 2 children. Okay, so during that time it was a very natural process. Okay, but if you notice, lifestyle during that time was very different. Physically they were so active. Luckily I had a good pregnancy because I maintained that lifestyle, food habit and everything. Okay, so that helped me during my pregnancy and delivery process as well. Okay, so physical activities during those time was different. Now the physical lifestyle is completely different, food is different, right? There's a lot of changes. And the medical system, like if you see like a today's hospital, they look at the the lady as like a client, you know. So more pressure is given on the C-section, etc. I've also seen like a female in my circle who were following yoga and everything, but still, you know, they will make the some scene and now you have to go for the C-section. So yes, medical existing medical system is also responsible, and the change lifestyle is also important, you know, involved in that. So nowadays the stress is more, and as I said, diet is different, lifestyle is different. Earlier days it was different.
In your consultations,
Mm-hmm.
do you guide them, or the doctor, do they guide the modern young ladies that this is better than going for cesarean? So lifestyle from the day of pregnancy, you live in a different way so that you are preparing yourself for a
Yes.
Natural delivery. That is a
Yeah, my entire like I have a couple of clients. Okay, so their journeys start with me after their, you know, once they decide to have a child. From there, their journey starts with me. So I analyze them, help them to get their physically, emotionally in the same platform. Like a sometime like a person comes, no Guruma, we want to have a child, you know, but the both are on the different sphere, you know? So then I had to make them understand, first you need to come on the emotional and intellectually, you know, spiritually on the particular level, then that process will be, the child will be the emotionally healthy, just not having the sexual intercourse. So from there, it's my journey start. Before conceiving, I take case 3 to 6 months, because if the female has now the new development, like a majority females will have a PCOD, cyst, fibroid, you know, irregular menstrual because of their stress and lifestyle. So it takes me 3 to 6 months. First, prepare the body, then mind, preparing both the parent to start that process. And as I said, not only the food, but also emotionally and spiritually, what kind of atmosphere they have to maintain in the house, what kind of a communication they should carry with each other. I have been helping the guest, but this is how I start my process. Medical terminology, one part of it, but in the whole this process, I would say the 70% is important: your food, your atmosphere, your chemistry among both of you and in your family member, that awareness is really, really important. That's why me and Sangam Talk decided to talk the different aspect of a pregnancy. And I'm thank you for a Sangam Talk.
This is in continuation of what Mr. Karnik asked.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little, in the
Mm-hmm.
past, I remember my grandmother's time, there were 20 children born to the same parents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, those 20 souls are individual souls. Do they decide to come together to live as siblings, or is it just a chance that they have come together? And second question, some children come and they die at the age of 1 or 2, in some car accident or some health. Do they come to cause that, it's a huge grievance for the parents? Has the soul come just for that, or what is the reason? Please tell us.
Okay, very beautiful question you asked. Why? Because the answer of these questions are very deep. So I will cover first your second question, death. Okay, so I asked first question to my mom when I was 3 years, why the people die and where they go after they die, age of 3. Okay, so of course she answered me the way I am answering you, but in my soul psychology and spiritual path, I verified those answers. Okay, even my disciple also asked me, Guruma, accident ho jata hai. They some commit the suicide. Why? Okay, now here what happens? Like you are born with the number of breath you will be taking on the earth. Okay, so हम लोग बोलते हैं ना कि हम लोग लेके आए how many exhalation and inhalation we will be doing. So your life is the span between the first inhalation and the last exhalation. So I will take the rough calculation over here to make it very simple. So if you are born to have 100 breathing cycle, and for some reason you meet an accident or you commit a suicide, so your 30 years or something, are remaining. So in that case, soul will take a birth again to complete those 30%. Okay. Now, in the suicide case, what happened? The soul is a breaking soul agreement, so which is not healthy. At the initial talk, at the beginning of a talk, I said the soul itself decide. That is called the soul agreement, soul signs and come. But some circumstances forces soul to commit the suicide. Okay. After this suicide, what happens is another process. Okay. But the soul agreement has been broken. So then again, the soul has to come and complete that 30%. One is that. Second thing, accident. Accident, soul did not decide it. It is accident because it happened suddenly. So it is accident. But again, the 40% of his life is remaining, right? So in that case also, it will come. But after that accident or suicide, what kind of a confusion soul goes through is depend that many, that much period to soul take the second run to come back again. But the both case soul has to complete 30 and 40% whatever is the left days. Okay, now this is a part of a soul. Now what happens in case of a parents? That's what you think. Okay, now here parent will be going to the trauma, or maybe but in this case if you see them many a time the parents total journey will change. If they lose the soul, child, the journey will change. So in this case that accidents or incident was needed to give hit to those parents to be on that path, or that particular soul had only 60% of life was remaining from the previous birth. So there are the various possibilities. Now I'll move to your first question.
Yes.
I think yeah, the first question, the many siblings, it's very interesting because we were 7. Okay, so in the siblings when you're born you learn caring and sharing. But if you notice in the previous time, because I came from the big family, so many siblings. But don't you think so? It was an unconscious process. Everything just happening physically. Mother is also not aware of unless her period is stopped that she is pregnant. If I notice, remember my mother. So it was all happening unconscious. So all these 6, 7 siblings will have a different nature and different path.
No, but that's what I wanted to ask you, that these souls which have come together, they know they are going to be, with 20 other souls. So did they choose it, or it just happened, even the soul's journey?
No, is as I said at the beginning, till the month of 3, then after during the 3rd month, soul enters in the womb, and there are the various souls around you. Okay, spiritual soul will be the conscious. He will choose parent consciously. During that time also, there were families who had only 1 and 2 children. Do you agree? So that case, they were like a more conscious. So here what happened? Everything happened unconsciously. Parents are unconscious. They are just carrying the physical process. Soul unconscious. Okay, getting the opportunity to go on the earth. This womb is available. Access is there. Get into it. So entire process is unconscious. Almost. Because in my case, we are 6 siblings, but I'm completely on spiritual and different path. Though, because I used to always have this question before I got into this path, that all my siblings are the different level of education, different level of a personality, and different level of a spiritual life. Why? Having the same parent, same food, same schooling, and same atmosphere. So here my this soul which I am into now in the body, that soul learn caring and sharing and responsibility. And the surrounding, we had a very religious surrounding, ritualistic, which I'm the only one who follow till, where the rest of my sibling doesn't follow. So here, unconscious and conscious souls are also there. But I literally got drifted away from my family at very early age to continue on my path. So hope I answer your question. There are the unconscious process from the parent side. There are the unconscious process from the souls entering the womb. But there could be the possibility of having 1 or 2 conscious soul entering over there because they want to experience that kind of a living. So in my case, I got a religious, ritualistic upbringing, the responsibility to us, and a lot of love and compassion towards my siblings. This is my own experience.
Normally, when we see children born handicapped or deformed, or sometimes the umbilical cord is wrapped around the neck, even in the womb, and they die because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask, like, I heard somewhere that suppose if you die a very violent death, maybe in an accident, and your neck is chopped off, or you die by somebody cutting your throat, or you hang yourself from the fan, then in the next birth you are born with that umbilical cord around in the birth, or sometimes you're born with a deformity of the neck. So, is it like this, that if you die a violent death, or you hang yourself, then you are born with some deformity in your next?
Now I will share my finding on this topic. Very interesting question. Okay. In my retreat, I have noticed like a certain characteristic with the guest. Then I will come to know these are their phobias been carried from the previous birth, where the soul had violent death. So this birth, the soul will experience phobia, insecurity, phobia. Okay, and sometime like your soul carry the marks I have seen, but more I have seen in the characteristic and the nature. So here I will share one incident where this girl will foresee the things that are happening. So she happened to see that in a deja vu kind of it, her her father is meeting an accident, and it happened front of her. Okay, and then she saw like her brother, and again it happened front of her. So she said like Guruma, why this is like na, I'm now developing that fear and phobia. So when we travel like na, past life regression and all through, then we notice that they were a tribe of like na, family, previous birth, and tribal community. Yeah. So like it's interesting. You're like a previous birth episode is remaining. Sometime get repeated over here, and you born as an entire family again. Okay. So coming to the marks, yes, I came across like there are the people who get marks, but more as a nature and the phobias they carry. Okay. So we come to know like whether the person is died because of accident or the heart attack, you know, or the somebody's suffocated and killed. So those kind of a phobia soul does carry. Hope I answered.
Yes, Yogini ji, and about this past life regression, is it a good process? Because I've heard so many things like we shouldn't go back and see our past life, and this is psychological more than going back. So, do you recommend past life
Yeah. Okay. Is this life only had so many things to give? Okay. So here I refer that because use like a previous birth, the people are, experience this thing kind of a violent death. And so they are come with like born with those marks. In that pretext I share my experience, you know like why the certain children carry, or the even like a 50-60 year old will have that phobia. Then during that particular meditation process and all, as you know the person carries various bodies, 5 bodies. Along that there's a 7 bodies, karmic body, past life body, which we can sometimes see. So this is how
therapy?
like
Thank you,
but it is
Yogini ji.
not advisable. But sometimes this past life regression therapy does help because you come to know why and where is the hinge. Because right now it is just showing symptoms on you. For that you have no answer, but then answer lies in the previous life. In that case, I have seen it help the people. Because in my case, like when I was thrown on the completely spiritual path from the completely material world, so I was saying, no, is this path for me? No, no. But then when I completely came on this path, I said, no, this is what I made for. So I had forgotten my destiny, which I engraved in my previous various lives. And when I again continue, the life became tranquil. So little bit all this thing does help for sure.
It's from Som D, and it says if Yogini ji can clarify about adoption process, is there a way a child or parents select each other in adoption as well? And also, as a single woman, is adoption a good idea in general?
Okay. Very nice question and different from the other one. Okay. So the adoption process, now this child, like see, now here the 3 souls, the evolution journey is involved. Okay. Now in my case, I came across, and in our family only, the child was adopted. Completely, we are from like a completely Brahmin ritual, religious family. And they adopted the child. But child had a different characteristic and it went on that path. So whatever here like a nurture failed. So that much strong characteristic that child had. So sometimes we say like a child is born with a nature, but your nurture can influence. In my experience, I found what strong nature this child is born, if your nurture is strong enough to overlap, then only you will be able to, that child will be able to take that, get absorbed that nurture. So in that case, the adopted child continued on that path, which was not at all healthy for this family. Okay, so that was an individual soul who had a destiny that that soul will get comfortable lifestyle from their so-called adopted parents. Got it? Now this soul share each other's karmic debt and they moved on. Got it? So this is a case of an adopted child. Okay. Now coming to the practical world, that was like a spiritual or psychological side. Okay. Coming to the practical world. Now when you adopt a child, you doesn't know how the child is born. What kind of a conceived process the child went through, what kind of a characteristic child's mother and father will have. It will be definitely there in the child. Okay? So, yeah, one need to see the child beyond as a child, as a soul. Little conscious process here is also important. Yeah, parents are kind enough who want to adopt the children. They have a big heart. They want to give life. So there is nothing wrong. But this kind of a things also happens. Okay. Then single mother. Of course, a single mother has a freedom to experience the motherhood. So the child which you adopt, there could be the two things. You get ready for the two things. One child may carry his characteristics, her characteristics, and continue further. Or child may contribute the beautiful life to the parent or the adopted family. So it is kind of a two-side possibilities.
So I had two questions, but if time permits, the more important question was, I am currently 6 months pregnant. So I want to know what can I do now to for the betterment, psychological, physical, and spiritual of my baby. Second question, if time permits, what is the time duration during which a soul enters the womb? And is there any indication that the mother gets that it has happened or the soul has arrived?
Okay, so I will answer your first question, which I also answered at the beginning, that normally third month soul enters the womb, provided the womb is not pre-booked. Pre-book, in case I say, like if you have any disease ancestor which are close to you, mother-in-law, father-in-law, or somebody, your mother or your auntie or grandma who was close to you, close to family. In that case, like your womb is booked, my son who completely express his grandfather quality, everything. So my mother-in-law will say often, oh, he just talk like him, he just act like him. And when I conceived, I came to know, it is like who is coming. And me and my husband used to have a talk also with child. Okay, so in this case, it's called the womb is pre-book. Okay, and the second case, like as I said, your atmosphere surrounding, your thought process, if you're spiritually religious, so then you will attract that kind of a soul. So hope I answer your question. So normally it's a pre-book, so pre-book womb, that a destiny, the father takes the decision to born again in that particular family is one case. Second case, the soul selects which kind of a parent or atmosphere soul what. Hope I answer your second question. And mostly the third month is the time where the soul enters the womb. I answer that question. I can
Yes,
move
ma'am.
further. Okay. Now, since you're 6 months pregnant, congratulations to you. Okay. So we have a very nice information, Garbha Sanskara. Okay. So which covers your food habit, your thought habits, your communication, how you are keeping yourself physically, emotionally, mentally and spiritually. Same time, what kind of a conversation you and your partner is having. That will, because right now, like a 6 months, and the soul is much, little bit more matured, so they will absorb. So those things you have to take care. And I have also, normally, soul, this one, egg ovulation process is little difficult naturally to find out, like what are the particular days one can have intercourse to conceive. So I have mentioned technically everything, like a sperm can live in the uterus for 5 days, but the egg only 1 day, and in that time only it has to happen. So when one can have a sex, where are like more chances of conceiving. And then how the like one can lady can keep a track of naturally ovulation cycle, when the egg is going to get released. So normally that we can track through the body temperature and the cervical mucus, etc. So natural process, how it can help, that I have mentioned in the document, if you notice.
So this is conscious Garbha Sanskara, and this is Yogini Sri Rome ji's website. This is her phone number and her Facebook page. It's Shri Yantra Puja, and the YouTube is Goddess Path India. So you can just note this down, and you can please visit and also note down the phone number and Facebook page. So you can contact Yogini ji after the talk. Let me just scroll down. Yogini ji, you want to go through it?
I explained that at the beginning, so more important, and this information like will be handy to them. These are like a practical medical terminology as per the medical, because normally when I went to the pregnancy process, this information was also not available during that time. So I thought like I'll make this available, and more focus we will give on emotional and spiritual process. So all these topics I cover in the initial stage.
So I'm just scrolling down for everybody to read through it.
Like there I have given the measurement, like how many eggs we are born with it, and what age, how many eggs are there with, in the uterus, then how the period of egg ovulation we can track naturally, as I said earlier, which are the factors can affect. Okay, then I have also given the diagram which will help them to track their period and ovulation timing.
Actually, my sister-in-law have a 28th week of pregnancy.
Hmm.
Then she has many leg pain, and how she cure about this?
Okay.
Very much tiredness and very leg
Okay.
pain.
Okay. So she is a 28 week pregnant, right? And she had some physical problem, right? Is that your question? So here it's I have to, I need to know I need to know entire her situation. With just a 2 line, I won't be commenting anything. Okay. So as per the Ayurveda, I need to know many things. So does we need to see her, the body type, whether it has developed any kind of disturbance, vikruti, as per the Ayurveda, we say prakruti and vikruti. Then I'll be able to comment on this. Just talking right now, this will be the not, I won't be doing that unless I do the analyzation of a case.